Okay, what do you think about, coming closer to today, what do you think about what happened more than a year ago, February 2022? Uh, it's was it unexpected for you? Because it was unexpected for many people, even in Russia, and
Mm-hmm.
probably for many people around all the world, and probably for Ukraine too.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this for you
You
personally?
know, actually, I'm one of the very few people that was saying, even a month or two before it happened, that it was going to happen. Because I understood that the Ukrainian army was massing forces on the front. It's been proven since then by, Russian hackers have gotten the documents that showed the attack plan. The Ukrainian army, under the command of NATO and the United States, had scheduled a major military offensive with 150,000 soldiers to attack Donbass in the first week of March of 2022. The special military operation, thanks to God, thanks to Vladimir Putin, thanks to the great Russian people, saved Donbass from a genocide that would have been like Rwanda, or would have been like when the German Nazis came here to this very land, in 1941. And so the attack was planned. The special operation prevented that attack from happening. So it was one of the greatest, most humane, most important, and most intelligent things that's been done in the 21st century. Because understand that when Russia defends Donbass, they defend themselves. They defend Russia, and the reverse is the same thing too. Who defends Donbass defends Russia, and Russia defends the future of humanity. So it was not unexpected for me. I have a lot of friends, all my friends, in fact. I mean, almost 90% of my friends are on the front. They're soldiers, they're guys that I served with. And, you know, uh, they were telling me, Spetsnaz officers were saying, because we're here right now in Petrovsky, 5 kilometers to Mariinka. And, and they're like, dude, you don't want to be in Petrovsky, in the first week of March. So actually, my wife and I, we moved from our house here in Petrovsky. We were staying at a Gastanitsa in the center of the city, and then the special operations started. And I was overjoyed because it was, I thought it was going to be the end of the 7 years at that time of this war. I thought, Russia will be in Kiev by the end of the month, as they should have been. And I was overjoyed. And then, things, you know, broke down or whatever. There was setbacks and like that. And it's very disappointing and problematic now that, you know, almost a year and a half into this special military mission, and yet Donetsk still gets bombed every day. The Ukraine Nazis are, 5 miles that way. They're 7 miles that way. There's 6 miles that way. We're still Petrovsky. This is Petrovsky district of Donetsk. And a lot of this area now has been liberated by Russia, but the Ukrops are still right here, where they've been for 8 years. And people here in Donetsk, I mean, you understand that 8 years of war is twice as long as the Great Patriotic War. And that's hard, man. And I'm not as tough as most of my friends who have served as soldiers, served on the front, served in combat for 8 years straight. And, I can tell you that I've lost a lot of good friends, man. I mean, when I say my prayers, before we sit down to eat dinner, I remember the names of my friends, my brothers in arms that died. I say them, their names. And there's 11 of them so far. And 5 of them died from 2015 till 2022, and 6 of them have died since 2022 till now. I mean, so, and our neighbors are getting killed. We went just the other day. The director of the school district of Petrovsky. My wife is a school teacher. She knew the director, Tatiana, for 20 years. They were good friends. They worked together, but they were personal friends as well. Her house got bombed. It's not far from here. It's not far from where we're sitting right now. She was wounded. She died the next day. Her husband was wounded. Her daughter was wounded. Her granddaughter was wounded. Their house was destroyed. And this was a woman that was beloved, that was a perfect example of what a good human being should be. Murdered by a terrorist, random shelling, by, Nazi Satanists who are, controlled by, the United States and Europe and the people who own those governments there, So, the people here are tired, man, and we're very disappointed that it's taken this long. Russia has the military ability to crush Ukraine like they did the German Nazis, and that's what they should be doing. And you know what? There's no one that I know that hates Ukrainian people. It's not a war. It's not a Ukrainian civil war. It's not a war of Russia against Ukraine. This is a war. It is the Third World War, and it is a war of Nazis and Satanists. I mean, in literal, just like the German Nazis who say, we are the Übermenschen, we are the masters, and everyone who is not like us is our slaves, or we will exterminate them. And it is just like that. And it is a war of, Nazis like that against the future of humanity. And it is Russia that stands in the way of them taking over the world. And it is Donbass that has stood on the front line for all these years. And, and Russia, and like I said, who defends Donbass defends Russia. And Russia owes a great debt of respect and gratitude to the people of Donbass. And that has not yet been paid. That has not yet been paid. And we thank Russia for what they've done, but the only way that this war can end is just like the war, the Great Patriotic War, victory or death.
What a victory is.
The very minimum is Russia to liberate Kiev and a line straight down to the northern border of Moldova and everything east of it. That is the minimum. People, now they talk about, we'll make some negotiation. It'll just be Kherson and Zaporozhye and Donetsk and Lugansk. Only a fucking fool and a traitor would accept that. Or they say, we'll just go to the Dnieper River. And you know what? That doesn't work either. The Dnieper, the Nazis have already shown, they've already proven, they have chemical weapons, they have biological weapons. They can and will use them. They have used them. So the Dnieper River, the main water supply for eastern Ukraine, we can't have Nazis on the other side